at some point I was in campus and there's a dude who came. The dude was really good looking, Kigums, so good looking. So in my heart of hearts, we were all there thinking, oh yeah, he likes someone. So in my heart of hearts, I was so sure that the someone is me. The someone was my friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So why are you laughing at me? Hello everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Connect, where we take some time to connect with you concerning various issues that affect us in our daily lives. My name is Kathy Matei, and with me today is a Mamlakite that we all know and love. Her name is Emily Kigume, but you may know her as Kigums. Kigums, would you like to say hi?
Hi.
Kigums, would you like to say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, hi. Thanks for having me here, Kathy. I am Emily, and I am a mother of two, a wife, and I have two kids who are a teenager and a toddler. I am a lawyer by profession, although now I'm specializing in compliance.
Wow.
I love singing and I love blogging.
Wow.
Yes.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Right, and together we are going to be speaking to our younger selves. I know last week the men came in and they told their younger selves a couple of things that they thought that would have helped them during that time when they were younger.
You know,
Yes,
when
the
your
eyes
eyes...
ziko na cataract.
Kama za Maura, sasa unajua akitoa hiyo hawezi
I can't
niona.
see anything.
He can't see me.
And yet then I used to see the future.
He used to see many guys from Nairobi.
And we would like to do the same thing this week. We would like to answer the question, what would you tell your younger self about stuff like love and marriage, or dreams and passions, or finances, or our spiritual lives, or accountability? And we will be taking some time to do that. And we will just go right ahead, right?
Yeah.
Kigums, I know that you have lived a full life, right?
Yeah, I'm 40-something, yes.
You've lived a full life.
Yes.
So I don't know if you can go back to your younger years, your like 20s or mid-20s. What would you tell yourself about love?
Wow. Hey, that's a tough one because I'm the kind that kissed many frogs.
Right.
And so if I tell my younger self to take your time. There's no rush with this love thing. I think the mistake I made was think, the pressure from society that you need to get married by a certain time. In fact,
Yeah.
my dream was get married by 26,
No way.
have two kids by
No way.
28. My career is just skyrocketing.
3-bedroom house,
know,
4-wheel drive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I'd taken my time so that I also make the right choices regarding love back
Right,
then. Yes,
right.
yeah.
And what would you tell yourself about marriage?
Oh, about marriage. For me, Kathy, when I was younger, I actually, I had a child.
Right.
And I think the pressure was real every time. In fact, the funny thing for me was you go into any Christian event and you're looking out for Mr. Right. And you're
Wow.
thinking, this is the guy, this is the guy. I wish I really took time to just trust God with, matters pertaining love, pertaining marriage, that there's no pressure. And if it is God's will, it will truly happen. So I don't know, Kathy, about yourself, what you'd have told yourself.
I think that I would have told myself that my worth does not come from how boys respond around me.
Yeah.
To be honest, I always felt like I was, what do you call it? These ladies that dudes are always around. Yeah,
Hey,
the
you
pretty
are one
ones.
of those ones.
Yeah. So I remember when at some point I was in campus and there's a dude who came. The dude was really good looking, Kigums, so good looking. So in my heart of hearts, we were all there thinking, oh yeah, he likes someone. So in my heart of hearts, I was so sure that the someone is me. The someone was my friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So laughing at me?
No, because that's a story I think of most chicks. Yeah, you like someone, and then at the end of the day, he ends up liking someone else.
Yeah. So I think I would just tell myself, you know, that your worth is not in what other people see. Your worth is not in what dudes will think or dudes will feel. And I think that that's something that's happening a lot in our society today. You know, that ladies feel pressure to dress a certain way or walk a certain way or think a certain way just because of what you've mentioned. You know, they feel that there is need for them to get married at a certain point to a certain kind of person who looks a certain kind of way and lives a certain kind of life. And I think it's important for us to remember, and for anyone that is here and is young, as young as we were, to remember that our worth does not come from anything that we can get,
So true.
from anything that we can give, you know, or from anything that is around us, but our worth comes from the Lord.
From the Lord, it's true.
Our worth comes from the Lord. I think I really liked what you said about give it time, you know, because the Bible talks about how many are the plans of man.
Yes,
but the
but
answer,
at the end of the day,
you know, the answer comes from the Lord.
the
The
Lord,
answer
it
of
is
the
true.
tongue is from the Lord.
It is true.
And so I wish that I would have waited on the Lord.
Yeah.
Or I'd have saved myself from a lot
of
of heartache. Yeah.
I think one thing I can add also, it's good to also surround yourself with the right people, because I find the pressure also comes from the circles that you're hanging around.
Yeah.
And so I remember some of my friends, they were only consumed about dudes. So all the time you're just thinking, in campus life, you're just thinking dudes all the time and what you need to do to please them. I wish my single self back then, younger self, would have lived the life and not just be consumed by, you know, it's about the dudes,
Asante sana, Kigums. What would you say to your younger self about dreams and passions? What would you say?
I think I've had the privilege of pursuing a career and getting to where I am right now. But when I look back, I feel I shortchanged myself in some areas. And this is the funny thing. Sometimes, you know, you're talking to younger, you know, your peers or even older women, and they're telling you, hey, you know, if you start doing certain things, you won't attract this kind of dudes, you know. You won't get married. And so you find you're always feeling, I need to reach a certain level. I can't go beyond this because then I'll be too much in the society.
Guys will be afraid of you.
They'll
be afraid to approach
exactly. They'll be afraid to approach me.
Yeah.
I remember even looking at just an instance of, at my point of life when I wanted to get a car, my first car. And I had walked, you know, in town, you know, for those of you who know Muthurwa, hey, I used to be hitting from town. I hit Muthurwa. I'm going all the way till City Stadium because
in heels?
Hey, of course we have some. Now I can afford to wear nice heels.
Praise the Lord.
Amen. But then, you know, of course you have those tungomas and you're walking. And when I was thinking of getting my first car, I remember people saying, aye, but then now if you get a car, you won't attract a dude. But I just felt really that was the time in my life I needed. It was a part of some advancement in my dreams.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't seen me walking all the way from Muthurwa, then truly they were not the ones. And so sometimes you find younger girls shortchanging themselves, not really pursuing their dreams because you fear that you will not attract the right people, or people will really say negative things about yourself. So I wish I was kinder to myself because there are things I wanted to pursue from a career perspective. Even some of my passions, like music, recording music and stuff like that. But I think I listened too much to what society would say. You know? How about you?
I feel you so much, man. I think that I would tell my younger self to just go with, you know, what you want to do. Just, you know, push on and do what you want to do. I feel you when it comes to, you know, that thing for recording music, because I always felt like, wow, you know, there are those ones that you see that sing so well. They sound so angelic. And then there's Kathy, you know, and who would listen to your album
and
if
the way
you
sing
check
nicely.
an album? Thank you. I wish you were there to tell me that. like 10 or 15
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah.
Yeah, so I would tell myself, follow whatever dream God has put in your heart and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Don't shy away. The fear of man is a snare.
Yeah.
And so if God has placed a gift in your heart, pursue it. Pursue it,
Exactly.
run with it, see where it will go. And don't give up. Don't follow what other people are saying. Because another thing is that in times when you're a bit younger, you always want to go in certain directions where you see other people going, right? And so maybe you finish school and you realize, a lot of people who are around you want to go towards the direction of doing medicine, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you can't stand blood, So what happens if you
Exactly.
can't stand blood?
Yeah.
You can't do medicine. But there's something that you can do, some jewel that God has placed in you that you do and you thrive in. So pursue that, pursue that with all your heart and pray that the Lord would guide your steps even as you begin to do something.
I think, Catherine, before we proceed,
Yeah.
you've said something very important, because I feel when you're younger, you're almost fearing trusting that God will actually come through with what he has gifted you in. And so it's important that you learn how to trust. I wish I trusted him so much more, knowing that he holds my world, he holds my future, and not every person will go a particular path. Each one of us, God has charted a particular path that we should follow. Not all of us will be billionaires, will be millionaires, but God in his own wisdom, he's charted out paths for us. If only we believed, if only we trusted, and who knows what impact would have.
And incidentally, that's the same thing when it comes to issues of marriage. When young ladies come in to marriage, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I got into marriage feeling like I had a set I had a list of to-do things, so that then I can be counted as one worthy to be called a wife.
A wife.
Let me tell you, Kigums. And some of these things I either didn't enjoy doing them, or I didn't know how to do them. For example, I didn't know how to bake when I was getting married, but I used to see on Instagram, on Facebook, people are saying, my husband was yearning for lemon cake.
Ish.
And I just went to the kitchen, and I just decided to make it. I'm thinking, I'll probably just burn the whole thing.
The whole house,
And so, what you said about just going easy on yourself, I think that's so wise. It's a wise thing to do. And here we're not saying, that if for example, you don't like cooking, just, sit and...
I mean, there's room for improvement. There's room to make sure that, you're also becoming a better person. And not conforming to what the world dictates, an ideal wife or an ideal woman should look like. I think bottom line is, what does God want of me, and what does he want of each one of us?
Let's talk about a big one, finances. What would you tell your younger self about finances?
Okay, finances, I think I would have told me. By the way, if you're a young girl, please save. Stand on your 2 feet. I think there's just it worries me when I look around and see how many are waiting on, sponsors and all this kind. I don't know what they are called nowadays anyway. They sponsor, and I don't know, sugar daddies and whatever. And many who want to live a life that they cannot afford. I wish you just start with baby steps. Save more. Look for opportunities to invest. Because I look at the book of Proverbs and the story of the ant. The illustration of the ant, that it is, it stores up for the winter, during harvest time. And I wish many of us would adopt that. That principle is not for men. I believe it is for both men and women. And so the younger self, I wish I would, you know, there are things you'd have started early. Now you'll be seeing, you know, the fruit
Yeah.
much later.
Yeah.
And just the patience. I think the world has too much pressure on how we should live, how we should, you know, the places we should live, the kind of cars we should be driving, the kind of clothes we wear. So we give ourselves so much pressure.
Yeah,
And end up living a life that truly is not our own. So that is what I would tell myself. And yourself?
And you know the beauty
Yes.
about the faith that we are in is that, you know, God loves all of us.
Yes.
And God has a different path
Yes.
for all of us.
All of us.
And so, Kigums, it's possible that I may never get to the point where, say, you are, and you may never get to the point where another person
Someone
is.
else, yes.
And I think that that's okay. The Lord encourages us to be faithful with what we have been given at the points that we have been given, you know, to be able to bloom wherever it is that we have been planted at that point. And as we continue to be prudent at every point that we are in. And so if you're 20 and say you're out of high school,
Yes.
and maybe you're doing an attachment somewhere before getting into Form 1,
Yeah.
there's something that you can do there. You can be prudent with the amount that's coming in at that point.
Yeah.
When you get to, you're done with Form 4 and you're waiting for that period to end in order for you to get into campus, there's something that you can do there. I have a friend who, when they were done with high school, during that time we used to wait for 2 years before getting into campus.
Yeah.
That guy, he opened a school in his church, a school where he would bring people together and take them through tuition. And then he actually even employed people.
Wow.
I know, he employed people. And so that now he would be able to get some amount of money and pay people, and he'd be able to have something with him. He has done farming, you know, during that period.
Yeah.
He has been able to do so much. He used to go to Gikomba and get shirts for 50 bob and just take them round friends, you know, and you know, sell them for maybe 250 or 300 and save. And I think that that's something that I wish I were told earlier, you know, that you can start small. You don't need to get like 50K or like 60K for you to say, now 10% goes to the Lord.
Yeah.
20% goes to my savings. And then I can have fun with the amount that is left.
But also many of us didn't want to get our hands dirty at that point because especially if you've gone through campus, you're thinking, after campus, I just want, you know,
white collar
job.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
White collar.
this number of zeros after the first digit. And if we only got dirty, our hands dirty and worked, hard work really rewards. Hard work really rewards.
Yeah.
And contentment, what you were saying, contentment is key, knowing that God will see me through at the stage I am
that
at
you're
right
in.
now.
Yeah,
Yes.
godliness with contentment is great
exactly.
gain. Yeah. And I think when people are young, then they are able to take risks, more risks, and without as much repercussion as when other people are older, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's even when you look at investments when you're much older, there's always, we were discussing with my real group, and it's interesting how sometimes because of your age, then you cannot take a very big risk.
Yeah.
So you'll definitely go for the low risk, the ones that have guaranteed returns. But when you're younger, I mean, you have all the time. You can afford to burn your fingers in this investment
You
or
live
this
with your
activity.
parents.
Exactly.
You know,
You can really afford to take a lot of risks, and who knows what the future holds. Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something that I know is close to both our hearts. What would you tell your younger self about your spirituality?
Hey, my spirituality. Let me tell you, I grew up in a Christian home.
Okay.
And so I've known the Lord for most of my life. And I think this is a danger I see sometimes when you grow up in a Christian home where you're shielded from a lot of things. And, you know, you want to try out things because you've been growing up knowing this is the way to follow. You must follow it.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a temptation to really try out stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't try out too much.
Yeah,
I wish
feel
I
you.
hadn't tried out too much. But I think one of the things when I look back is I wish I had trusted God more, that he would come through for me in so many ways. And when I look back, you know, even as the psalmist says, when I was old, but now
Yeah.
when I
Young
was
and
young,
now
now
you're
I'm old.
Yeah.
I've never seen the righteous forsaken. For sure, the Lord doesn't forsake.
Mm-hmm.
If only we can put our trust in him. If only we can believe. I wish I had. I did SALT. I did a lot of youth activities in church, but I wish I had studied the word for myself to understand it, to understand its truths, and to, you know, apply that information in my life. I don't know what has been what you would say to
You know,
your younger self.
I would tell my younger self, remember the Lord in your youth. You know, there are things that I held dear
Yeah,
back then that I look at and think,
I know.
I mean, what was that even?
Exactly,
You
yeah,
know, some relationships, some connections, some activities that I held dear. You know, that I thought
This is it.
yeah, if this does not happen, my life is over. You know, and I just think, you know, all of these things will fade away.
They will.
And they keep fading away, Kigums. There are some things that you have now that you probably won't have, or you won't think very highly of in maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years. But you know what remains constant?
Yeah.
God.
God remains constant.
God remains constant.
Exactly.
You know, and so honor the Lord in the days of your youth. Remember the Lord in the days of your youth.
Yes.
Another thing that I would tell my younger self is, you know, it's okay for you to choose the path that is not chosen by very many people. You know, the narrow path. It's
Yeah.
okay for you to choose that path, you know. Eventually, when we come to the end of our days, our friends won't matter,
Yes.
our wealth won't matter, the wealth of our families, of our parents, that won't matter. What will matter is what you did with the time that you were given,
Exactly.
and whether you chose Christ
Yeah.
during that time. And so I would tell my younger self, you know, it may have been easier for me now if I began to intentionally choose the Lord for myself at a younger age.
At a younger age.
For a very long time, I lived off the faith of my mom. My mom is...
I think mothers are special.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying that because I'm one. I'm hoping my kids think that
Oh,
way of myself. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, as you were saying.
Well, my mom, my mom is special. She ensured that she intentionally taught us God's word.
Yeah.
And consistently, I think she still does. She consistently prays for us, you know, for those who do not know the Lord to get to know the Lord, for those who do know the Lord to continue to walk this narrow path. And I just feel like my life may have been different. Of course, I know that God is sovereign, and you know, the path that I have walked on has been ordained by the Lord until the point that I am right now.
Yes.
I just think that maybe if I got to own my faith for myself at a younger age, then I'd have done much more for the Lord. Again, I'm grateful, you know, for the fact that the Lord chose me and chose to save me at the point where he did save me and to sustain me till now. But I would tell my younger self, you know what? Stop playing with your faith.
Exactly.
I mean, this is the only valuable thing that you have. The rest will fade away. Stop playing with it. Choose to gladly, joyfully walk the narrow path, because you know you won't be alone.
Yeah.
You know, and the narrow path leads to God. You know, the wide path leads to destruction.
That is true.
And so choose to walk the narrow path. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you'll see when you're growing older and you'll definitely face different challenges. You're having more responsibilities. And I find if your faith is not grounded when you're young, I know there are many who have gotten saved when they are older, but I just find it is much more difficult to sustain your faith when you're facing all these other hardships when you're older. So yeah, I think it's a valid point. Work out your salvation when you're in your youth. Remember your God at this point in life. Yes, yeah.
Right. I hope that you have been enjoying the conversation so far, and I hope that you have been thinking through what you would have been telling yourself if you were younger. We have just one more thing to consider, and that is the issue of lone ranging. I see a lot of people out here, both ladies and gentlemen that are younger. I see a lot of people saying things like, you know, I can do it all by myself. I don't need them.
Yeah.
I don't need that kind of energy. I can do it on my own. I can follow my own path. What would you say to the issue of accountability? You know, not walking alone, walking with someone else.
Yeah.
Did you have that when you were younger? And if not, what would you say to the person who you were when you were younger?
So yeah, when you're younger, I think you feel like you know it all. You've got this. You know? I remember I would tell my parents, they have no idea, they're old-fashioned. They have no idea how these things work
So
out.
true, man.
And
Yeah.
this is a new age, it's a new era. The same things my daughter is telling me, I'm very old-fashioned, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But then, so I missed out on an opportunity to actually work with, say, older women or older people who would have influenced my life positively and who would have held me accountable. And I think because of some of the choices I made, I would deliberately avoid, you know, working with. Even when they're seeking me out, I would deliberately avoid them because, again, I don't want to be asked too many questions. I don't want to answer too many, to say too much about my life. Already it's going in a direction that I know someone will definitely point out this is not the right way. So I feel I should have worked more with, I could have worked more with older women. And then for my peers, you know, part of you feels you should have been more vulnerable. To allow them to speak into your life and to walk with you. And so, I mean, when you look at accountability, I think we were saying earlier, it's at different levels. So there's the older person who's working with you. There are your peers who are able to challenge you and really call out things. But then there are the younger ones who are looking up to you and who are hoping that you are setting a good example, that you're a role model. So I would say to my younger self, please allow yourself to be held accountable. It's for your own good. It is for your own, I mean, yeah, it's definitely for your own good. I don't know what you'd have told your younger self. You'd tell your younger self.
I would tell my younger self to listen to older people.
Wow.
Just like you said. I think wisdom is timeless.
Yes.
You know? And so I like you, used to feel I'm the last born by far of a family of many ladies ahead of me. And sometimes I used to feel, I mean, I get you, but you know, this is a different...
It's a different generation.
It's a different generation. Things don't quite work the same.
Yes.
But I look back and I can vividly remember some conversations that I had with my mom or with my sister. And I look back and think, you know, that's wise, regardless of what generation we are in.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is something to follow, you know, some things to grasp and to hold dear and to walk with. And it doesn't matter what generation the person is in. And so it took me quite a long period of time before agreeing to have an older lady in my life. You know, just that thing that you were talking about, you know, being asked, nimeona huo kijana ulikuwa na yeye, and you have a boyfriend.
And because you know what you're doing, you don't want to be asked those questions.
Yes.
That
Uyo
is so true.
kijana ni nani, you know, or that friend that you're working with, you know, who is that friend? Or how often do you do Bible study? And I'm thinking, it's my life.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get to really appreciate the place of older, wiser women who can speak into various aspects of my life. When I was getting married, I was super green about so many different things. And I'm so grateful for the older women that rallied around me. In fact, I remember that they set up a meeting right after my shower, which, by the way, is a totally different conversation. These
Okay,
showers
that shower
that we
story.
have nowadays, totally
Yeah.
different conversation. But I remember after my bridal shower, playing games and being showered by gifts, these women sat me aside, you know, and they asked me, how are you feeling as you head towards marriage? What do you not understand? How can we be of help? And I remember asking so many questions about so many different things that I would have fumbled over. And I remember that they were so helpful. And I think it was to such a great encouragement to me
Yeah.
and benefit to my husband, because I feel like I probably would have burned both of us in the house by the first week. And so just that, you know, the value of having older people speaking into your life. But like you said again, the value of speaking into another younger person's
Yes,
life. I feel like there are some people who are younger than me and who I interact with a lot that really keep me in check, even way more than the people that are older.
And they'll be asking the hard questions.
Yes.
They are seeing what you're doing.
Yes.
And so you can't afford to say one thing and
Yes.
do something totally different. And they're curious. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
And so, you know, that the Bible is clear about the need for community amongst believers. And so don't shy away from community.
Yes.
Don't shy away from wanting to know and to be known by other people. Of course, you know, wisely, and again, being wise as to who you open up to
Yes.
at what point,
Yeah.
because that could also go. And so you see, that's also a factor of the more you get to know someone, the more you get to trust that person, and then you're able to open up to them.
Yeah.
And that's a factor of community.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know,
Yeah.
the more you're
It's a
you're
process,
in
yeah.
yes, the more you're in a community, the more you get to know people, and the more you get to allow people to know you.
Yes.
And that really strengthens your faith, you know, your courage to like risk, like we were talking about,
Yeah.
to invest in certain things, or to not be afraid to venture into something that you like and to that you enjoy. You know, all these things can be done right within community. So I would have told myself, you know what? Stop jumping.
Yes.
Stop moving from church to church. Settle down where
Yeah.
you feel that you are being fed well. You know, of course, a church that is a Christ exalting,
Exactly.
Bible believing church. Settle there and serve. You know, take your time to serve the Lord, serve the people that are around you, and allow yourself to be within community. I would have told myself that.
Yeah. And I think I mean, you have had the beauty of having people, older women, walking with you from you know, a very good time. I think maybe there's someone listening and wondering, you know, I've messed up my life. I'm not able to walk with anyone. I don't even know who would be willing to walk with me.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of those who messed up my life and kept wondering. I mean, I can't allow myself to be vulnerable. I'm already going through a lot of stuff, processing what's going on in my life. But there's so much beauty if you allow yourself. And you'll be so surprised that God, I mean, prayerfully considering that God allows someone to come into your life. He does amazing things. And sometimes I look back and I just marvel, because I've seen how God has been faithful despite my, you know, unfaithfulness.
Yeah.
And he's been able to allow people to come at different seasons and speak into my life.
Yeah.
Now that I'm trying to get it right. So yes, for myself, I also have an older woman who I'm working with, and it's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful experience. I pray, if you're a young girl there watching, that you just allow an older woman to speak into your life. Yeah. And that can include your mother, your auntie.
Yes.
I mean, there's no restriction as long as she's born again and she's walking with you
Yes.
in the ways of the Lord. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Asante sana Kigums. Any last words before we close this up?
So I was doing my devotion this week and I came across a quote about, women, that we already have too much information. I think the issue is applying it. And I think we are always seeking out groups to learn. You already have enough knowledge. It's about time that we apply. And I think some of the things we've spoken about, if only we took time to apply them. It's never too late in our walk that we are able to do this. And then I'm reminded of Proverbs 31. I think it's verse 30. Charm is deceptive. And women, we know ourselves. We know how to get our way into stuff.
Yeah.
Charm is deceptive. Beauty is fleeting. Please ask me. Beauty is fleeting. It's like beauty is here and me, I'm
You're
heading
headed
the other
that way.
Everything that was up is now facing the other
Where?
direction. Anyway, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say that.
You are fine.
Yeah, charm is deceptive. Beauty is fleeting. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And so I pray that will be our focus even as women. I mean, just to put our eyes fix on what is eternal.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't pass away. But as you were saying, that all these other things, they will pass. So I'm encouraged that I've gone through the experiences I've gone through as well, because they've been learnings. The sad thing would be if I don't learn and repeat the same mistakes.
Yes.
So I'm also grateful for those learnings because they made me a better person today. So I hope someone will be encouraged that it's never too late. Don't feel like you have to, beat yourself up. There is always hope, and you can stand up and walk and move on. Yes.
Asante sana. All right, we have come to the end of this week's episode of Tuesday Connect. We hope that you have been blessed and encouraged by the conversations that we've had here. If you would like to ask any questions, or if you would like to have a pastor, say, pray with you or talk to you concerning one thing or another, please feel free to visit our website. We have our contacts there, Mamlaka Hill Chapel, and just call and talk to our pastor. We would be more than glad to talk to you. But from me and from Kigums here, that's it for us for this week. See you again another time. God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful week.